How are we doing, ladies and gentlemen? Hope you've all been enjoying your summer thus far. I don't know about you guys, but I've definitely been missing watching basketball, which is why I cannot wait for the Olympics to get started in just a few days. But with things dying down a bit on the NBA front, like I mentioned in my last video, backed by popular demand, I did want to bring back the hot takes videos, me reacting to your hot takes. I love getting you guys involved in the content. Obviously, without you guys and your support on the channel, this channel would not exist. And I also like seeing where your guys' heads are at with this team, especially in going into this upcoming season. So if you're new to the channel, in these videos, I react to your hot takes that you've left in the comments. So if you'd like to be included in future videos for these, feel free to leave your takes in the comments below. But without further ado, let's get into some of these takes, shall we? So what's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Our first take comes to us from King J999. Bulls have 3 NBA award finalists this season: Coby for Most Improved Player of the Year, Ayo for Sixth Man of the Year or Most Improved Player of the Year, and Modas for Rookie of the Year. So to confirm, you're not saying that any of these guys would necessarily win the award, but be a finalist, meaning they'll finish top 3 in voting. The only one I really see having a legitimate chance at this, based on the roster we know of it as of today, is Ayo being a finalist for Most Improved, Sixth Man of the Year. Coby, while he finished second in voting in Most Improved Player of the Year last season, and probably should have won the award because he had a better jump and improvement year over year from Tyrese Maxey, but because Coby took such a big leap last year, played very well, accelerated a lot of his numbers, and because the Most Improved Player of the Year award just looks at the level of improvement from one season to the next, Coby would have to take a pretty significant leap again this season for him to be another finalist to win the award. We're talking putting up over 25 points per game, being selected as an all-star, upping his efficiency as a scorer, going from last season to now being the Bulls' best player. Like, having that kind of leap this season, then yeah, I could see him finishing as a finalist for Most Improved Player. But that's a big ask for Coby, to make that kind of leap or to just have that kind of expectation on him, especially when we know that both Zach and Vucevic are still on this roster right now and could very well be on the team to start the season and keep playing until near the trade deadline. That's going to limit Coby's overall touches and his usage. And then for Modas Buzelis, I'm only saying it's unlikely that he finishes as a Rookie of the Year finalist because we still have Zach and Vuce on this team. Like, you also have to consider the fact that there are only so many minutes to go around. Don't forget Torrey Craig as well. He picked up his player option. Modas is going to get minutes, don't get me wrong. He will be in the rotation because the Bulls have to prioritize their younger players and their development given the direction they're in. But as long as Vuce and Zach are still on this roster, Modas isn't going to get enough playing time to give him enough exposure to get that award. Now, if Vuce and Zach are traded, hell, even Torrey Craig, that's a different story because then it opens up more opportunity and minutes for him. But to win Rookie of the Year award or even just be a finalist, you have to be putting in a fair amount of minutes in your rookie season and productive minutes to be considered for that award. And I'm just not sure that Modas is going to be going and getting that kind of run in his rookie season. Ayo, though, yeah, I can maybe see it for Sixth Man of the Year because Ayo is likely going to be coming off the bench with Josh Giddey inserted into the starting lineup, and Zach projects to be a starter as well. And Ayo is good enough and productive enough where he can put up strong numbers off the bench where I can see him end up becoming a finalist. Our next take, though, comes to us from Jude23. Dalen Terry gets traded this year. Ooh, this is a pretty hot take. I don't think many people would say that he's going to be getting moved, given the Bulls are on a youth movement now, and Terry fits that agenda. Not only that, but he actually showed great improvement towards the end of the year and was getting key minutes in big moments and showing up well for the Bulls. Don't get me wrong, he still has a lot of work to do, namely his shot. If he just added a shot to his game, man, he would be a solid player because he does everything else pretty well with his tenacious defense and pushing the ball in transition. I guess I could see a scenario in which he gets traded if, one, he does well and some team is willing to overpay for him in a trade, or he's included in a trade package with either Vucevic or Zach LaVine as a sweetener to send them a young player, since we know the Bulls don't want to attach picks in a deal to get off LaVine's contract. But really, outside of that, I find it very unlikely the Bulls would trade Dalen Terry. Next up, we've got Retrospect00. LaVine will come back and be an all-star in 2025. LaVine is a fantastic player and everyone needs to relax. He is a great leader, great player, always respectful, and the noise is just the noise. So a few things. I wouldn't be surprised if LaVine comes back and plays well, like better than expected, which will be good because it will help his trade value. All-star though? No, I don't see it. I think LaVine's all-star days are over, at least with the Bulls anyway. A great leader? I don't know if I can agree with that. I agree Zach has always been professional, but I don't know that I would put Zach in the category of being a great leader. If anything, that has been one of my biggest issues with Zach LaVine is based on outward appearances, he doesn't really show to help or mentor and lead his team both on and off the court. Like, I didn't see him go to Io's jersey retirement ceremony like DeMar did. I didn't see him hosting workouts for the young guys at his home in LA. I've never really seen Zach get his team together on the court in big moments and be the voice in the huddle. Great player, he's professional, but a leader? I've never considered Zach to be that type of player really throughout his tenure in Chicago, despite the fact that he's been the team's best player for a good portion of it. Next, we've got Cruisin' Boss 6124. Two hot takes here. First, Josh Giddey will have a career year and will be instrumental in the revitalization of Zach and Vucevic's trade value. Both will be traded by the deadline. And then, an even hotter take, Bulls bench mob will be making an appearance. We got some hungry Cubs waiting to or wanting to prove themselves. Io, Modas, Julian Phillips, Smith, and wait for it, Lonzo Ball. So let me start with the hotter take. You know, it's a fair point that while Vuce and LaVine are still on the roster, the Bulls are actually going to have a fairly deep bench. Like, it's very likely both Io and Lonzo, assuming he's able to come back, come off the bench. And then, of course, like you mentioned, Buzelis, Julian Phillips, another young, hungry player would be Dalen Terry. I don't know if I would liken it to the bench mob of 2011 of Ronnie Brewer, Taj Gibson, CJ Watson, etc., because the current players are a bit more raw, but they'll be hungry for sure. And then as far as your first take, Josh Giddey having a career year and it helping Vuce and LaVine's trade value, well, he's only been in the league for 3 years. This will be his 4th year, and you would hope he's going to have a bounce back year after kind of having a down season for him in a new role with more opportunity, maybe a bit more motivation after the Thunder benched him in the playoffs. I do think he's going to have a good season, and he's going to quiet a lot of the Giddey trade haters. I just don't think that he's going to be making an all-star team or anything like that, but he'll have a good season. And yeah, I can see him helping the trade value of Zach and Vucevic because of his court vision and being able to create for others on offense, something Zach and Vuce have really been without in recent years since they lost Lonzo Ball. Next up, we've got Kite. Start Modas, nothing to lose. I agree, the Bulls would have nothing to lose if they start Modas Buzelis when they're not going to be in a position to win anything this year. But as I've said before, as long as you still have Zach and Vucevic on this team, and Giddey's going to be entering the starting lineup as well, yeah, Modas is not going to be starting. I guess the only thing you do have to lose by starting him is it means Pat moves to the bench, which probably isn't going to be the best for his development. Which, as hyped as I am about Modas, given Pat's age, you have to get him to the player the Bulls need him to be now, while you still have a number of years to work with on Modas given he's only 19 years old. I mean, this really is a make or break year for Patrick Williams. And you just gave him a 5-year contract. At age 23, it's time for him to take that next leap. And starting a 19-year-old in his place, which likely impedes his development and confidence, if Pat just comes out and is not aggressive, isn't looking good, isn't impacting the game, then yeah, sure, pivot and send him to the bench and start Modas Buzelis. But you can't open the season like that. Pat is going to be starting. Another Modas one here from Ethan Jam Parker. Modas wins Rookie of the Year and is the 3rd leading scorer on the team behind Coby and Zach. Well, I won't address the Rookie of the Year piece as much because I already kind of said my piece on that one. I don't think he's going to get enough minutes to be considered for that award. And because I don't think he's going to be getting enough minutes, I don't see him being the Bulls' 3rd leading scorer. 3rd leading scorer is likely going to be either Josh Giddey or Vucevic. Again, a lot can change if the Bulls do in fact move Zach and Vuce, but not a chance he becomes the Bulls' 3rd leading scorer of the season. Like, he has to improve his shooting significantly to be able to get there. Next up, we've got Hussar Whale. Bulls fans have really been the reason for mediocrity and lack of effort on the Bulls side of things. When the fans support this team, show up to the games, buy merchandise, why even change the roster around? As long as they're still making money, they could really care less about the actual success. If we want to see real change, we need to stop supporting the team as much as we do. So a couple of points on this. One, I don't think this is really a hot take, by the way. I think a lot of people would agree with this. Two, while I get the frustration from fans, and I completely agree that the Reinsdorfs, maybe to an extent, even the front office, aren't focused as much on the success and results of winning because they've still been able to ride the coattails and revenue for the brand that Michael Jordan created for them back in the 90s. From a business perspective, it's a well-oiled machine that makes money. Why change or spend more money when you've already got a great product and a brand that customers support? At the same time, though, I don't buy this notion that we should just stop supporting the team or should be telling other Bulls fans, hey, stop following this team, stop going to games, stop buying the merch, etc. Sports are an escape, right? Like, the reason we follow sports, watch sports, follow the Bulls, or whoever it is, we do it as a means for entertainment and to decompress from work, home life, whatever it is. If that's what someone likes to do, they should do what they want. I'm never going to tell a Bulls fan you should stop supporting this team because it's making ownership lazy and enacting change. If they want to because they're tired of this team and no longer have an interest, great, that's totally up to you. But if you like following the team, this is a means of entertainment for you, do you. Don't let the business side of the game stop you from doing that. And no, I think it's a cop-out for ownership in the front office to say that it's Bulls fans' fault for why mediocrity exists with this team. No, that's on them. Like, even if you're purely just a businessman and you don't really care about the sports side of things. Business people are also competitive by nature. Don't they want to make even more money, which they inevitably will if they built a championship team? Don't they want to be better than their counterparts, be better than their competition? Just like how Apple wants to be better than Microsoft and vice versa? No, that's on them, not on the fans, and showing their continued support. I get the take though, because there is some truth to it. Anyway, guys, I'm going to end it there for now for this edition of Your Bulls Hot Takes. Feel free to keep the takes coming. In the meantime, as always, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.